Good morning, Scott here. Hope you're well. So we had some good action yesterday, up until the US news about the inflation figures. Today we've still got quite a nice selection of possible setups. So I want to quickly go through my watch list for today and show you what I see. So yesterday we had lower than expected inflation figures for the US, and that made the US weak. So we had a few things happening yesterday. The US dollar went weak after the news. The Japanese yen was strong, and there's a few other things like the Aussie dollar was strong as well. So we can see that in the charts and how they're setting up for today. We'll start with Aussie CAD. On the daily here, we see we're in a downtrend, but we've got this nice retesting of the daily 50 now, break through the daily 50. So that's looking like a long day today after that really strong action. Of course, the news was during the US market. So that means the Asia session are now responding to it. And because the Asia session has just kicked off, and also the UK guys in the UK and Europe will also have to respond to the news as well. So we could see some big moves at the market open in those parts of the world. So what do we have here on the lower time frames? Aussie CAD, really bullish action after the news, which is mostly Aussie because the CAD was kind of strongish. But the Aussie went really strong. What do we have? We'll zoom into the 1 hour chart here. Right, it's a bit out of place, isn't it? So what do we have? The best option, we do have the option of an ACBB. No, we don't. We call it a CBO. We have a CBO here as well. So if we go from these lows to these highs, lines up very well with the daily pivots. And so you can either take this as a pip snatcher along, or you can take it as a CBO. Very similar, apart from your take profit. So take profit for CBO might be up here before the daily pivot. Sorry, the daily R1. We'll quickly look at the daily again, see what other levels we're looking at. Well, there's not much around there, is there? There's a few lines here, but the profit target, that'd be a sensible one. Or you could take it higher and use trade management to capture profits. That's Aussie CAD. That looks quite nice. And lots of these are very similar. So Aussie yen, looking at the daily, we've got a bounce off this strong SR line here the last few days, and a very bearish day yesterday. So it looks like we're going to have a bearish day again today. Let's go to the lower time frames. The 1 hour. So here we have a breakdown through the 1 hour, 4 hour 50. So again, we have a pip snatcher short or an ACBB. I ought to disqualify the pip snatcher if warranted. And we are getting lower lows on the MACD, so there's no MACD divergence there. So that looks pretty good for pip snatcher. Although it's already crossed the pivot. I'm heading back to the 1 hour 50. So that looks better for a ACBB, which we can take from these highs here maybe. Which one lines up best? Maybe from the highs. Yeah, so it's better. So 1 hour 50 catching up. Entry around here. Hopefully you'll see this before it plays out. That'd be a nice either pip snatcher short when it comes back through the pivot, or as an ACBB short. Should have a much bigger stop, but you can run the profit target much further. ACB short here. Entering at 302. Any obvious profit targets? Yeah, we've got some lows over here we can aim for. And for the lows. So that's quite a nice looking one as well. Aussie Kiwi. Right, we finally got our upward momentum we've been waiting for quite a while. And Very bullish day yesterday, room for the daily 20 and obviously lots of room for the daily 50. Lower time frames, the 1 hour chart here is giving us clearly a nice uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. Nice break through the 4 hour 50 now, so CBO is looking good. And gain of fibs, these highs, these lows here. Here's Australian wildlife. That's the kookaburras. Right, so we've broken through the 4 hour 50, 1 hour 50 into 382. There's our nice little CBO up to the day 20 at least, which is over 2%. That's a nice looking setup. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar again, very bullish action yesterday, breaking through the daily 50. Looks nice. Pitch snatch is the obvious one, or we could also do an ACBB like I showed you before. On a pullback, it probably line up well with the pivot, and then you can take that. Let's go back to the day to see what is the obvious profit target. Well, nothing for quite a while, is there? So maybe your profit target wouldn't want to go beyond that line there, because we've got the lows over here. It'll probably reject it there. It's been rejected there, broken through, retested. So that'd be an obvious profit target as a maximum. For if you did an ACBB, otherwise a quick one-time pitch snatcher. I'm pretty sure the MACD will be okay. Yes, so big bullish news yesterday. MACD is looking fine. Let's go to CAD Swiss. CAD Swiss, lots of bearish action recently, breaking through daily 50, daily 20, looking like a short day today. And again, a pitch snatcher is looking pretty good. We've got a nice trend line here as well. I like the trend line. The 1 hour 50 is quite a long way behind. So we've got CAD Swiss, another 8 hours or so for that to catch up. There it will come back and test and then go down through the pivot. And MACD, don't like it. If this is the low and it's turning around now, which it seems to be, a MACD divergence there. So I don't like that one. I'll scrap it straight away personally, although it's good for a pitch snatcher. Looking at this, the MACD rules it out for me. KTN. Really bearish day yesterday. So that's the yen strength. Looking for a bearish day today, breaking through the daily 50, which we can see here is a green line. And we're waiting for a pullback. Let's get that into proportion. That's looking like a pitch snatcher again, or we could again have an ACBB. ACBB because the 4 hour 50 is behind us. The ACB played out, we pulled back to the 4 hour 50, and now we are looking for an ACBB as we go short. And pitch snatcher 1-to-1, or you could even take it lower, looking at the daily, maybe aiming for these lows down here. Probably isn't that much further, to be honest. Maybe down here somewhere. I probably wouldn't want to go past this S1 of our daily pivots. So that's at 1.5%. 1 hour 50 is quite a long way behind. So wait for that to catch up, or just be cautious entering. Don't get trapped entering back here and then it rejects this pivot. So always be careful with your entry on that one. And that's the case for quite a few of these pitch snatchers because the move has been so strong yesterday from the news. EuroCAD, looking bullish. Pause a couple of days, looking bullish today. Room up to this major support level, resistance level. Again, pitch snatcher seems to be the best option. You probably get an ACBB out of this as well. No, you couldn't. No, you already had lots of breaks and retests. So pitch snatcher is the best option. Is the MACD okay? Or just about. I'm not really liking the look of it. It seems to be rolling over, but it is higher. Apart from back here, there to there is lower. So MACD is questionable, and this lower low here. Before the news, price went down, and with the news, the price went up a lot. So I'm not looking to look at that one. So I'll put it on secondary at best. There are better options out there. Euro Kiwi. Short again, we've come up, rejected the daily 20, but Broken to the daily 50 as well, looking like a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 5 down to lows on the daily. And here we have we take a fib from here, which is a bit cheeky. Otherwise, it's too far away. If you go right to the top, it's way too far. You're missing a news event. Oh, actually, not too bad there, is it? We take the wick off that news event there, then that fib's okay. So there's a couple of options there. If it pulls back anymore, it might be on its way off now. That would be a CBO, because we've got a break at the 4-hour 50 here. Nice for CBO short down to maybe these lows here. Be the obvious choice. Looking nice. Euro dollar. Very bullish day again yesterday, breaking through this resistance level. So the action again will be a pip snatcher or an ACBB. Now ACBB pull back to 450. ACBB will be okay, or a pip snatcher. So MACD okay? Yes, it is a very bullish action after news. So that's okay for a pip snatcher. And Kiwi. So we've pulled back to the neckline of our head and shoulders. That's the daily 50. Looking like we might want to go short now. Let's have a look at the lower time frames. So we can see this wedge pattern here, pulling back to the 4-hour 50, an ACB. Not the cleanest, but it's an ACB nonetheless. Entry would have probably happened by now for an ACB, but we'll wait for the ACBB. Wait for the 1-hour 50, and that could be an ACBB here, heading down to lows. That's looking like a nice option there. I like the look of that one. Pound dollar. Pound dollar, because of the dollar weakness, pound dollar looking very strong. It's breaking through this trend line. It's been there for a long time, for a couple of months. It's breaking through that cleanly. And here we have it on the lower time frames. And again, we have an ACBB. It's probably the best option. Up to this high here, the R1. Daily pivot's line up as well, so you could even take this as a pip snatcher. MACD is fine. Any other highs? Probably not much around, is there? But that's a nice looking setup as well. Kiwi dollar, very similar, very bullish action yesterday with the weakness of the dollar. And looking for a long trade today. Here we go, very similar. Pip snatcher or ACBB looks good. MACD looks fine. That's another option. Pick the best of the best. We've got lots of dollar ones, a few euro ones, a few Aussie ones, a few Kiwi ones. Just pick the best. There's a few yens in there as well. So looking for a bearish day today on dollar CAD. We've had this wave 1, 2, oh, that's probably wave 1, 2, put in wave 3 now. Hard to say, it's a bit messy, but a very bearish day yesterday. So looking for more bearish action today, and pull back for what would be ACBB again from the 4-hour 50, pulling away down to these R1, S1, sorry, on the daily pivots maybe. Or you could take it lower, of course. Look at the daily. Yeah, you could probably take it down to about here somewhere, which is where we have these highs. So there's some room there for a nice trade short. Dollar Swiss. Again, very bearish action. Quite a long one, this one. So Swiss getting strength and the dollar having weakness. That's a very big candle, which means it's going to take a mighty pullback. But that, oops, button. But that's looking possible. Pull back to pip snatcher again for 1-hour 50 is quite a long way behind. It needs time to catch up. Or the ACBB. Another option there. Dollar yen. Another big candle breaking through the daily 50. Been waiting for this breakdown on the weekly. It's been overbought for such a long time. Now we're finally getting some downward pressure. It's looking like a bearish day today. Another daily 50. Again, we need a big pullback. And it'll be a pip snatcher. You could even do a hyper trade or ACBB. All pretty similar looking setups apart from the profit target. But be aware that the hourly 50 is quite a long way behind because it is very fast moving yesterday after the news. Let's give that time to catch up. The only other one worth looking at for maybe for later on is dollar Swiss. We've had wave 1 on the daily, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 pullback. This is wave 5 back to highs perhaps. Rejection the daily 50, daily 20. It's very nice. We haven't yet got a trend change. We haven't yet broken the hourly 50. So, and the 4-hour 50 is here as well. So if we get a break of those two, pull back, be a nice little CBO. Nice little CBO inching around here somewhere. The 1-hour 50 catches up with the 4-hour 50. Stop behind 618, which will be about there somewhere, and then take out the highs. That could be a nice tasty looking trade. Today, maybe late today, if not, it'll be tomorrow. Right, there you go. So whiz through those because there's lots to cover and don't want to take up too much of your time. So I hope you found it useful. Lots of possible good trades setting up. So all the best in the markets. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Take care.